Good morning. Welcome back to the Red Mic. Happy Thursday. I'm glad you're here. Today's Red Mic message: bias did not break the system, it is the system. The last 12 hours or so, my feed has had a lot of comments about the Winter Olympics, specifically ice dancing. And the question is, were Madison Chalk and Evan Bates robbed? I saw the same thing that everybody else did. They had a very clean skate. They had a lot of energy, precision, and that song, perfect. I mean, chef's kiss. It was a operatic version of Paint It Black. Her outfit was fantastic. It was like a bolero kind of routine, and her skirt had a red frill on it, sort of like a matador's cape. It was fantastic. I mean, I saw everything. I saw, like I said, the clean skate, the energy, the precision, and I felt a lot of frustration with the results when the scores came up. But instead of just stopping at that feels wrong, I wanted to understand how it happened, not emotionally, but mathematically, systematically. Because to me, this wasn't just about ice dancing. Honestly, it was a case study in how modern systems make decisions, absorb bias, and still claim fairness. Scott Adams, as you know, has a line that I talk about all the time. Systems don't beat goals, systems become the goals. And I really think that matters here because after digging through all the scores, and I plugged them all into four or five, well, not four or five, into three different AI things, the judge by judge numbers, the hypotheticals, the bias arguments, all of it. Here's the honest answer that a lot of us Americans probably don't want to hear. The system rewarded the team the judges thought was better, even with bias pulled out or completely baked in. Now, the results were clear on paper. The gold went to Papadakis and Cizeron, and I'm probably pronouncing those names wrong, and sorry, I'm not French. They had a 137.64 aggregate score. Hawk and Bates, 67, and then the bronze went to Gilles and Poirier. I hope that's right, but if it's not, oh well. They're Canadian and they got 131.56. You know, a lot of people, myself included, we watched these performances and said that Chalk and Bates skated a cleaner program. The French team might have had a technically harder routine, but it wasn't technically correct or perfect. So, how does the cleaner skate lose? Now, when you run the math, this was not about one judge, even though the French judge, uh, it was an 8 point difference between first and second. He, of course, gave 8 points higher to his own team. And I get it. A whole lot of team pride there, French. No, it doesn't really work without the America. When you run the math, one judge can't flip it. And if you remove the highest scores, the lowest scores, if you pull out the home country judges, none of that changes the podium. It was always going to be those same three teams, one, two, three. This wasn't cheating. It wasn't robbery. It was consensus. And the system did, honestly, exactly what it was designed to do. Bias did not break the system, but it's baked into it. It really is. Now, and I should be honest about something too, because this cuts both ways. I'm probably bringing my own bias to this. I have never loved subjective sports in competitive settings like the Olympics. I'm wired for stopwatches, finish lines, scoreboards that don't argue back. You know, you point to the score and say, "We beat you by 3 touchdowns. You lost." You know, get over it. If you crossed first, you lifted more, you hit the target more, you won, full stop. So when a sport lives in interpretation where difficulty and artistry and components and stuff like that matter as much as execution, my skepticism kicks in. Same thing happened. What year was it? Was it 94 or 98 when Oksana Bayul, I think her name was, she won the gold over America's sweetheart, Nancy Kerrigan. I thought she was robbed. And maybe she was, but maybe not. Maybe this system with the bias baked into it was the reason. And maybe that's why, on a visceral level, Chalk and Bates just felt better to me. It seemed cleaner. It seemed stronger. It seemed more controlled. It seemed more confident. It seemed faster. Yes, faster. Cue the $6 million man voiceover, better, stronger, faster. None of these scores sit right with me, but it doesn't make me right either. It does explain why so many fans like me walked away really feeling uneasy about all of it. Because when your eyes tell you one thing and the system tells you something completely different, the problem isn't always corruption. Sometimes it's just a system that values things that the audience doesn't. Maybe we never fully will. What's the takeaway today? The red mic message, so to speak. Don't confuse system success with mission success. Don't assume that consistency is going to equal fairness. And don't be surprised when people lose trust in outcomes that are technically correct, but emotionally hollow. And that's today's red mic message. Hope you found it interesting or helpful. I kind of went out of my comfort zone there talking about a sport that, I love to watch it, but I don't understand why it's in the Olympics because, again, scoreboards matter. I mean, they should. Anyway. By the way, you may have noticed that I am featuring different coffee mugs every day. Now, that's also sort of a nod to Scott Adams. This is my fraternity, Phi Sigma Kappa. No, I'm not going to tell you what that means. Phi Sigma Kappa. It did make me think of something else, and I think I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, and it's related to the messages on a coffee cup and how they relate to other things in our lives. So, how am I going to make a leadership and life lesson out of a coffee cup? You'll see tomorrow. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. Until next time, life is short. Drink the bourbon.